welcome to In the Zone with yours truly, Anthony Smith, on a wonderful Wednesday. And I'm trying to wrap my head around this NBA in tournament play. I don't understand the meaning of it. I really don't understand the meaning, what the significance of it is. I mean, my personal belief is NBA really doesn't start meaning anything to around about December 25th, when they pretty much have on some pretty good marquee games, some pretty good matchups. But try telling that to these players, because this was the scene last night and down by the bay. So let's just take a listen to what happened.
Working on Wiggins, will step back three. And so we're scoreless. We'll stay 0-0 the first 2 minutes. And then
look at Klay
Thompson and McDaniels. What is going on with that? Wow. You've got a full-on fracas going on. Draymond came in to defend Klay. This got out of hand very quickly.
Look at Klay Thompson's jersey. It's ripped up. Now, that's more than a scuffle.
They'd have to go to replay and look at all of this, but Klay Thompson's never been involved in anything like that. What was Jaden McDaniels doing?
They were going at each other's heads. That was serious.
I mean, as you said, Klay's going to need a whole new jersey. Klay is as mild-mannered a player as we've ever seen.
They're just running down the floor, and they got tangled up. I want to see who initiated it first, though. Here's a look at it. So they're kind of coming together. Klay's boxing him out, puts his hand on his jersey. Jaden McDaniels puts his hand on his jersey. Now they're swinging each other around. Gobert gets in there. Draymond's got him in a headlock. There's a lot happening here.
Well, there were no punches thrown, which is good. In the NBA, it doesn't matter even if you make contact. If you swing at somebody, you're gone.
Okay, look at him on the left side over here. Yeah, they just... Klay had his hand on him, trying to box him out, and then they were swinging each other around. I mean, Warriors, it's clear. They want to send a message that you're not going to bully us. We're going to be physical. We're going to match your physicality and surpass it if we can. And Klay is getting the new jersey.
Whoa. Yeah, there was a heavy-duty reaction to both guys grabbing each other. And we'll see how that is adjudicated. And then big brother Draymond Green came in to clean up and make sure. I mean, he made sure Gobert got nowhere near that.
Every team has an enforcer. The Warriors have Draymond.
The reason Draymond went so demonstrably is that Gobert had Klay in a headlock.
Yeah.
And Draymond's not feeling that at all.
So he's just pulling him off. We're not doing that. This ain't that. Klay and McDaniels going at it here, and then all of a sudden Gobert comes in, and Draymond's like, no.
Yeah, it's
chill out.
And then Draymond, he headlocked Gobert there, so.
Yeah, they're trying to get Draymond off of Gobert.
On Rudy Gobert, Green has been ejected. Gobert will shoot 2 free throws. Minnesota will retain possession at the free throw line extended.
Okay, so Jaden McDaniels been ejected. Klay Thompson's been ejected. Draymond has been ejected. And Draymond was called for a flagrant foul.
Listen, there was a lot that happened there. This swinging each other while they're latched onto each other's jerseys. That was a lot. And then Draymond headlocking Rudy Gobert. I mean, just the way that they've adjudicated issues with Draymond in the past, it just doesn't.
So, yeah, they had a battle royal last night. That wasn't a basketball game. That was a battle royal. I'm pretty sure if Vince McMahon needs some more talent, he can sign them up, especially Draymond Green. I mean, that chokehold looked like something between Brock Lesnar and The Undertaker. I mean, seriously. Or maybe John Cena and Randy Orton. Anyway, as if that wasn't enough, the crew on Inside the NBA, they had to have some fun with this. So let's just see what they had to say about this.
We get married on a Thursday.
She's getting married. Kenny, give me a hug.
Yeah, it's my niece.
I know.
No, it's something's going to
No, I
do.
ain't doing it. Yeah, just want to give you a couple.
Come on, man. I
I'm not
consent.
gonna do nothing.
I consent to the hug.
He's trying to get to the choke. Oh,
Choke out.
that is not a choke. That is not a choke.
You better say something. Yeah, you better say something.
Come on, dude.
Come on, man. That is you.
Yeah, look at him, America.
Yeah,
So
Dr. J owed me money, but it's fine.
Look at that left arm, America.
The actual video. Look at that. Oh, my God. That's hilarious.
We'll be back to wrap things up.
So yeah, that was the crew on inside the NBA having some fun. Shaquille O'Neal going over, playfully choking out Charles Barkley while the song "Mama Said Knock You Out." I guess they're gonna get LL Cool J to come out of retirement and do the remake instead of "Mama Said Knock You Out." Mama said choke you out. So that's what took place last night in the association. We had the Royal Rumble. But there is some news regarding that. Or basically the question is, do NBA players fear Draymond? That's the question. Do NBA players fear Draymond? Because, every team has an enforcer on their team. And we're trying to pull this story up so we can give it to you right here in the zone. Well, one thing I can give you, Warrior Steph Curry has no structural damage from his knee injury, but he will be out versus the Thunder. So the news concerning Steph's knee injury, because he was at the game in street clothes. The Golden State Warriors announced guard Stephen Curry will be reevaluated later in the week after an MRI of his right knee didn't show any structural damage. For now, he'll remain out of action as Golden State prepares to play the Oklahoma City Thunder on Thursday. On Tuesday, Shams Charania of Stadium and The Athletic reported that Curry suffered a sprain in his right knee and would undergo further testing. Earlier in the day, Curry was ruled out of what proved to be a 104-101 loss to the Minnesota Timberwolves due to right knee soreness. He notably took a hard fall during his team's road matchup with Minnesota 2 days earlier and appeared to favor the knee afterward. The 35-year-old Curry has enjoyed a tremendous 15th NBA season, averaging 30.7 points and 48.8% shooting, 44.6% from three-point range, 4.6 rebounds, and 3.9 assists. He carried a 6-6 Warriors team that's largely struggled offensively thus far outside of his play. Of note, Chris Paul has shot just 37.6% from the field. Andrew Wiggins has only made 15.2% of his threes. Only one Warrior, Klay Thompson, averages more than 12 points as well. Ultimately, playing without Curry for any period of time is a tough blow for this team. The two-time NBA MVP and 9-time All-Star has shown no signs of slowing down and has simply been tremendous once again. Without Curry, expect Paul to remain in the starting lineup. The 19-year NBA veteran and 11-time All-NBA player has averaged 8.8 points, 7-point assists, and 3.8 rebounds in 27.8 minutes per game. Corey Joseph should also see more time as the backup point guard. So there is some news concerning one, Steph Curry and his knee injury. But what I'm trying to get to is this story centered around Draymond Green. And the question is, do players fear Draymond Green. And I guess what this is, since it's not a story, is something I'm supposed to vote on. I don't know if players really fear him, but I think a lot of them know not to cross him because, as I said, every team has an enforcer. It so happens Draymond Green is the enforcer. It's kind of like here's how this Warriors team is structured. So Steph Curry is, the man. Steve Kerr, he's like the bar owner of the team. Draymond is the bouncer. So if you think you're going to do something to either Clay, as it was shown in that video, or Steph, it's not going to happen if Draymond has anything to do with it. Because he's going to step in and assert his dominance. So, yes, I think there are some teams now, this younger group of players that's coming up, they may try to test him, and I wouldn't advise that. But those that know, don't cross Draymond because you will be dealt with. Plain and simple, you will be dealt with. So, I would say on average, yes. Of course, the voting is going like this. 69.5% people don't fear Draymond, while only 30.5% do. I think the ones that in that 30.5% percentile, I think those are the ones that actually know better. In some more news concerning the Golden State Warriors, 10 NBA starters who don't deserve a starting role. But I'll tell you what I'm going to do. I am going to table that until after this break. Yes, I'm going to table that until after this break. So stay locked in the zone with yours truly, Anthony Smith, because there is more to come. I'm going to give you those 10 starters who don't deserve to be started. You may agree or you may disagree. We'll find out. Be right back. Welcome back to In the Zone. So as I was leaving out, story of interest pops up. 10 NBA starters who don't deserve starting role. So, let's just dive right into this. NBA teams may not always put their 5 most talented players into the starting lineups, but they do trot out quintets designed to get them started on the right foot. That's why we're wondering why the following 10 players have held on to their opening gigs through the early portion of the 2023-24 campaign. Because based on what the numbers show, they clearly aren't pulling their weight. Remember, lineup decisions are fluid, so saying someone isn't deserving of starting now isn't the same as saying they should be benched all season. Still, demotion should be in order, or at least considered, for this group of underperforming or ill-fitting or both starters. Number 1, Malik Beasley, Milwaukee Bucks. The Bucks willingly made their roster top-heavy, and if they guessed right on how dominant the Giannis Antetokounmpo Damian Lillard duo can be, with time, clearly they won't have any major complaints about their setup. It does have drawbacks, though, like having to start Malik Beasley due to a dearth of alternatives. For instance, luckily, he's got it going with his 3-ball, career high 40.8 points, splash, 40.8% splash rate, but that's the extent of his own court contributions. And you'd have to think even a top-heavy team could do better than plugging a shooting specialist who's usually streakier than this into a starting spot. He is, by default, Milwaukee's backcourt stopper, but only because he lines up alongside the traffic cone, known as Damian Lillard. Beasley can have some offensive utility in the open court, but that hasn't amounted to much, with the Bucks averaging the fourth fewest fast break points. While Milwaukee may reasonably conclude it doesn't have a superior option at the moment, that's less an argument for sticking with Beasley and more a push to go find his replacement. Torrey Craig, Chicago Bulls. The case for the Bulls to start Torrey Craig seems to be as simple as this. Hey, at least he's not as bad as Patrick Williams was in that spot. That's about as unconvincing as an argument can get, especially when Williams is the Bulls' only rotation regular, sporting a single-digit player efficiency rating. Now, Craig is the kind of player whose presence is most felt through hustle and defense, things which don't necessarily show up on the stat sheet. Even still, he's been particularly quiet by his own standards. His 38.2% field goal shooting is the worst of his career, and his 4.8 points per game are his fewest since his rookie season of 2017-18. While turning back to Williams probably wouldn't help much, it might be time for the Bulls to promote Alex Caruso to the starting unit and slide DeMar DeRozan to the 4th spot. That's where DeRozan primarily played in 2020-21 and 2021-22, which were two of his best 3 seasons by PER. James Harden, Los Angeles Clippers. Prior to James Harden's debut on November 6th, the Clippers were 3-2 with the league's 3rd best net rating. With the Beard in the lineup, though, they've gone 0-4 with the NBA's 3rd worst net rating. While you can't pin all these struggles entirely on him, clearly things were clicking without him in ways they haven't since his arrival. Considering LA essentially banked its championship hopes on him being the proverbial missing piece, there might be a 0% chance he actually gets benched. But the numbers say it's clearly something they need to consider. So far, the Clippers have lost the 125 minutes he's played by a staggering 32.6 points per 100 possessions. Something's got to give. If the issues keep pulling up, and while some will argue for Russell Westbrook or Ivica Zubac as the odd man out, Harden is the one having the most difficult time of figuring out his fit. With Westbrook, Kawhi Leonard, and Paul George on the floor, the Clippers have thumped opponents by 19.6 points per 100 possessions. Add Harden to the mix, though, and that number tumbles all the way to minus 15.4 points per 100 possessions. So I tell you what I'm going to do right here. I'm going to pause and take another break. Why? Because I got more to go on this list. So stay locked in the zone, and I'll come back with some more on this starters who don't deserve to hold on to their starting role. Right here in the zone. Yours truly, Anthony Smith. Welcome back to In the Zone on a very wonderful Wednesday. About 70-ish, or was near 70-ish, in the air capital city of Wichita, where I am coming from. Hope you are enjoying your day wherever you're at, wherever you're listening at this podcast from. Hope you're being entertained. As we get back into this list of players who don't deserve to be holding on to their starting spot. Now we look at Killian Hayes, Detroit Pistons. This might pain however many Killian Hayes believers are left to read, as the number 7 pick of the 2020 draft is displaying some of the best offense of his career. But that's kind of the point. This might be as good as it gets, and it's just not very good. 10.9 points on 40.2 / 32.5 / 77.3 shoot. No matter how much Pistons coach Monty Williams values Hayes' defense and distributing, those don't offset the problems he presents as a non-scoring threat. He shrinks the offensive end, which is plenty cramped to begin with, as Jalen Duran doesn't take threes and Asar Thompson rarely makes them, and forces franchise centerpiece Kate Cunningham to operate in tight spaces. Even worse, Detroit has viable alternatives who could alleviate that issue in Jaden Ivey, the number 5 pick in the 2022, and Marcus Sasser, this year's number 25 pick. Hayes is a good passer, but it is hard to justify playing him over Sasser and Ivey with his offensive limitations. Bleachers Report Mo Dockey wrote, "There has not been a significant defensive difference with Hayes, Sasser, or Ivey on the court. The Pistons need to gain some kind of traction on their rebuilding effort. That means putting Cunningham in the best developmental situations possible and identifying players who can fit with him long term. That can't happen as long as Hayes sticks with the starting 5. Josh Okogie, Phoenix Suns. While it's been tricky to get a good grasp on the Suns given their early injury issues, one thing is clear. The debate over who should fill the 5th starter spot is ongoing. Josh Okogie has had the most opportunities to secure the role, but he's yet to make them count. The idea is essentially that Phoenix has enough offensive firepower between Kevin Durant, Devin Booker, and Bradley Beal, and Jusuf Nurkic, if you're feeling generous toward the big fella, to live with Okagie's shortcomings at that end. If he played even passable offense, it just might work. The facts he's listed here shows he's fallen beneath that bar. His 41.1 field goal percentage is forgettable, and his 17.4 3-point percentage is objectively awful. He's at least making his foul shots 89.7% and close range chances 73.7% inside of 3 feet. But he's still a negative presence on that end who prevents the Suns from doing what they're built to do. Jordan Poole, Washington Wizards. Oh, Jordan Poole has ended up on this list. I wonder if it has something to do with that punch from a year ago. Because he not quite get his head on straight. You know, you got to wonder, when you get hit like that. I mean, there's been some great boxers that have been hit in the head and they haven't been the same. I wonder if him getting punched is still affecting his game. Anyway, Jordan Poole is on this list. Let's see why Jordan Poole is on this list. Among the 462 players to hit the hardwood court this season, none have a worse plus minus than Jordan Poole's minus 131. Yeah, that part right there. Or even this right here. Minus 131. While some of that comes with the territory in Washington, Tyus Jones and Kyle Kuzma are next up on that list. Poole has contributed to a lot of this mess. He is a dreadful defender, which means his offense must be so spectacular that it more than compensates for all he gives up at the less glamorous end. He has been less than spectacular so far, posting a 41.2, 30.3, 76.9 slash line. That makes his ambitious shot selection unforgivable. He's also nearly wiping out his 3.7 assists with 2.8 turnovers while averaging his fewest rebounds, 2.4, and free throw attempts, 2.6 in 3 seasons. These are the opposite of winning habits, which makes you wonder whether Washington has any fear of his poor tendencies trickling down to his younger players. He might view the Wizards as my own team, but they might see him as a trade candidate. If they don't plan on keeping him, they don't need to let him steer this starting unit into a brick wall over and over. Cam Reddish, Los Angeles Lakers. In the Lakers' latest attempt to find another footing, they demoted the struggling Austin Reeves to the second unit and promoted Cam Reddish to the opening group. On the surface, the swap looks great, as Reddish has supplied 35 combined points over back-to-back Laker wins. Dig even a half-inch deeper, though, and the foundation starts to crack. If the idea is that Reddish can thrive in a 3-and-D role with this group, then LA is chasing false hopes. He hasn't lived up to either end of that label. He's shooting just 29.6% from the range and has somehow fared even worse on catch and shoot threes, 28. On defense, his matchups are shooting 16.2% percentage points better against him than they do on average. There's another reason the Lakers are his fourth NBA team in the last 3 seasons. His physical tools might impress, but he has never consistently shown the skills needed to capitalize on them. If LA wants a long-term solution for this starting spot, it should continue searching for answers because this isn't it. Obi Toppin, Indiana Pacers. Obi Toppin is one of the most electric dunkers in the entire association. That's not at all reason enough for the Pacers to keep him in their starting lineup. So, what exactly has allowed him to stick with the first 5? Because once you get past his aerial antics, there isn't much left in his arsenal. He isn't a rebounder, 5.1 per 36 minutes, or a passer, 0.8 assists per 36 minutes, or a floor spacer, 30.4 three-point percentage. He's also on course to post the worst defensive box plus minus of his career, minus 1.4. Indiana has been slightly worse with him on offense, minus 1.7 points per 100 possessions, and way worse on defense, plus 11.9 points per 100 possessions. Add it all up, and you have a disastrous minus 13.5 net differential, which is the worst among Pacers regulars and the only negative mark from one of their starters. Andrew Wiggins, Golden State. Warriors coach Steve Kerr has already ruled out a demotion for the slumping Andrew Wiggins. But what's the argument for keeping him in the first 5? Sure, he's supposed to be the second captain, supporting MVP candidate Steph Curry, but Wiggins is piling up enough bricks to build a fortress. His shooting /line is a grotesque 41.2/15.4/50. He's averaging more turnovers, 1.4 than assists, 1.0. His 6.8 per ranks dead last among the 118 players who logged 250 plus minutes this season. The Dubs are counting on him to be and compensating him as a difference maker, but all he's doing is putting them deep in the red whenever he hits the hardwood. His net differential is an absurdly awful and easily team worst, minus 30 points per 100 possessions. Even if Golden State thinks he'll snap out of this, sitting him until he shows any evidence of that happening could help this club recover from his recent funk. 4 losses in 5 games entering Tuesday. And last but not least, this is number 10, Zaire Williams, Memphis Grizzlies. So this might be cheating, as Zaire Williams came off the bench his last time out. But considering he missed the previous game with a hip injury, logged just 9 minutes in the outing, and was replaced in the starting lineup by someone on a 2-way contract, Jacob Gilliard, it's fair to question whether the demotion is intended to be permanent. If it isn't, it should be. Williams, the number 10 pick of the 2021 draft, has been about as ineffective as anyone, evidenced most clearly by the fact he has this season's 5th worst plus minus 91. Nothing from his stat sheet is easy on the eyes, whether it's his 37.7 field goal percentage, 28.9 3-point percentage, negative assist to turnover ratio, 1.2 to 1.7, or his career worst, minus 1.0 defensive box plus minus. Memphis may not want to quit on this theoretical upside, as this roster would become infinitely more formidable if the 6'8", 215-pound swingman suddenly became a 2-way difference maker. But when the leap obviously still isn't happening, you wonder how much longer the Grizzlies can keep the faith, assuming they haven't abandoned it already. So there you have a list of 10 guys who shouldn't be starters, and the reason why they shouldn't be starters. I know some of you are going to hear this and be like, well, what gives you? Hey, I'm just giving you the news, and I'm giving you what the analysts are saying and what they think. And it's all up for discussion now. So, 10 NBA starters who don't deserve starting roles right now. Well, this has been another edition of In the Zone, a short 35-minute edition, but I hope it was very informative to you. And until the next time, as I always tell you, stay locked in the zone with yours truly, Anthony Smith. I'll be back with some more good content next time. So until then, take care of yourself. I'm out of here.